Hi folks! In today's video I want to talk about tires. I recently replaced mine because they were a little bit old, they were a little dry rotted, and it had been a while. So today we're going to talk about how I did this and some more extra add-ons to tires and tire maintenance. Like I just said, my tires were a little old. You should be replacing your tires every 25,000 to 50,000 miles, or about every 6 years. If you notice they're damaged, can't be patched, can't be plugged, or they're dry rotted, it's also a good time to buy them. My tires weren't all the same type all the way around. And that sounds a little odd. Why does it matter? They're a lot like wearing shoes. If you buy yourself a nice pair of running shoes and a pair of skateboard shoes, and then you're wearing one on each foot, you're going to walk differently and it's going to feel differently. Same concept with tires, just a little less dramatic. Tires come in different styles and wear patterns, and it can be really confusing. However, there's some very simple ways of knowing what you need. First thing, your owner's manual. Your owner's manual has whatever came from the factory measurements in it. You can also just read what's on your tires currently. If they're not rubbing on the wheel well, if they're reacting well, they're probably just right for you. Let's look at my tires and see what size they are. My tires are 235/50ZR18. This means my tire is 235 millimeters wide. The height, as measured from the edge of the rim to the top of the tire, is 50% of the width. The R is for radial construction and the Z is for speed rating. We don't have to worry about the speed rating unless you're trying to race your car, in which case maybe this video isn't for you. And the tire has an interior diameter of 18 inches, meaning it fits an 18-inch rim. Plugging these same numbers into a website like TireRack.com or calling your local tire shop will get you the exact same size tire. I recommend looking online first to see what tires are going to work best for you and fit your budget. After figuring out the size, we need to consider what kind of climate you're living in. Is it sunny all the time? Do you get a lot of snow or rain? If you live in a desert climate, you probably don't need an all-weather tire. If you live somewhere with seasons or regular precipitation, an all-weather or maybe even snow tire may be beneficial for you. I chose an all-weather tire because I live somewhere that regularly rains and could see some light snowfall. I didn't choose a snow tire because I'm not going to be driving my vehicle through 8 feet of snow, or up and down a mountain or anything crazy like that, so all-weather should be just enough for me. The main difference in these tires, besides your price, is going to be your tread pattern. Fair weather tires won't have channels for water to escape, meaning you could hydroplane more easily. Snow tires are built for traction under slippery conditions, so it's pretty important to choose a tire built for your weather. I chose the Goodyear Weather Ready Assurance. I was a little unhappy with the price at $233.99 a tire, but compared to some of the other tires, it was a pretty good compromise at a decent price. I also got some rebates for the tires, dropping the cost a little bit, which we'll talk about at the end. The reason I'm buying my own tires is when I went to the dealer who does my oil changes, because that's my self-care. We all need self-care. They change my oil. When I went to the dealer and asked them about all-weather tires, they were quoting me nearly $300 for a similar tire. And in the spirit of this channel, and being self-sufficient, I'll do it myself. Did a little bit of Google, and this is what we came up with. Once you've got your tires, you need to install them. That means you need them mounted on the rim and balanced so they go down the road straight and even, and you don't have any weird vibrations. If you have an electronic pressure monitoring system, you should ask your installer to check the batteries, as well as replace your valve stems to reduce the possibility of leaks. A reputable installer will do both of these things automatically. So it's okay if you forget. They should already do these things. It's just an extra thing to think about. Not every rim is perfectly symmetrical, so once your tires are installed on the rim, the installer will spin them on a machine and attach weights to keep these tires turning as evenly as possible. And as I said before, it's going to reduce any strange vibrations and maybe even reduce some of the road noise. The weights come in two varieties, sticker and manual attachment. Pictured here on my spare tire is a more than normal amount of sticker weights. I bought this rim secondhand because I was upgrading my donut spare to a full-size spare. So it's okay if it's a little bit extra off-kilter. It's an emergency tire. Not a big deal, but if your regular tires are getting this many weights, it may be beneficial to get a second person to balance them, or even just replace your rim. The tire is probably fine. It's the rim. If you're hitting a lot of curbs, or you bought your car secondhand, whatever the case may be, it could be non-visually bent. Once you've installed your tires, you need to maintain them. Tire maintenance is pretty easy, but there are some things you need to look out for. Things like dry rot, low tread, and uneven wear. Pictured here is an example of dry rot on the left, and on the right is an example of uneven wear on my neighbor's tires. Uneven wear can indicate mechanical problems. So it's very important to do a once around the car every so often. I usually check every other week or so when I'm getting gas, just to see what's up. It's also important to rotate your tires, which is not just turning them around on the axle, it's actually moving the position of the tire. For example, putting the driver's front tire on the passenger rear side. You should do this about every 5,000 to 7,500 miles, which also conveniently coincides with the average oil change time frame for newer vehicles running synthetic or synthetic blend oils. So if somebody else does your oil changes, see if they'll rotate your tires too. Rotating your tires helps keep wear patterns even, or if you have a mechanical issue like a bad bearing or sway bar or whatever else the situation is, moving the initially affected tire after fixing the cause of malfunction keeps the tires degrading evenly. Next is proper inflation. Correctly inflated tires will ride smoothly and wear evenly. Check your owner's manual and the tires for best inflation pressure. Thanks to physics, hot weather causes air to expand, which is going to increase your tire pressure. Cold weather causes air to contract, which is going to decrease the tire pressure. That's okay, it usually isn't a cause for concern. However, if you live in a desert climate and it reaches 95 degrees during the day and 40 degrees at night, you could get some pretty big fluctuations in there. For most everybody else, not a big deal. A pound or two difference isn't going to be a problem. You might also notice some difference between getting in your car in the morning and when you get to work. That's because the tires themselves have heated up and the pressure has increased there as well. Again, not a big deal. However, if your tires are consistently losing pressure, you might have a leak. You should definitely get that checked out. If you don't have an automatic tire pressure system, or if you don't trust it, you just want to double check, that's pretty simple too. There's dozens of little tools out there for just a couple dollars, and there's even an old school trick that I don't personally recommend, but still might get the job done. If you have one of these tools, it attaches to the inlet of the valve stem and will give you a reading. That reading should be very close to the recommended tire pressure. The old school, not scientific, not technically correct way is to give the tire a gentle kick. Kind of like you're kicking a soccer ball to your kid 15 feet away. A little bit gentle, but far enough to get the job done. You should get a little bit of resistance and maybe even a little bit of reflection back. Anything more or less than that, and your tires could be possibly a little improperly inflated. If they're overinflated, push the center section of the valve stem, pictured here, to release a little pressure, or use a gas station air pump to fill your tires from the same inlet. Finally, let's talk about cost. As I said before, my tires were $233.99 each. That came to, including state fees and taxes, my shipping was free, $1,024.86. Luckily for me, when I went to get my tires mounted and balanced, the clerk was newer and they'd never had somebody bring their own tires before. So I'll use the average of what local shops quoted me, which was about $145. I received a $28 shopping rebate from an app and a $75 Goodyear rebate for buying a set of tires. I did have to call Goodyear because the paper that Tire Rack sent me had the wrong code on it, but 30 seconds after the phone call started, I had the right code and $75 in my pocket. Altogether, my total cost was $1,066.86, which works out to $213.37 per year, or $17.78 a month for tires, based on 5 years of wear. Not everyone's tire cost will be the same, so I did a little bit of extra research and I looked up tires for a 2015 Honda Civic, which is one of the most common cars on the road. The factory tire size is 255, 55, 16. I just plugged the information in a Tire Rack. They gave me a little survey to fill out, and this is what they came up with. It's a little bit cheaper than my tires, and they're still all season and perfectly good to use. In summary, you can save a little money doing it yourself. Check your tires every 2 weeks or so. Give them a little kick. Make sure they're inflated properly. Make sure they're not dry rotting or wearing strangely. And also, cars are expensive. Thanks for watching.